Universe Podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Emma's Universe Podcast. Emma's Universe Podcast. Emma's Universe Podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Emma's Universe Podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Emma's Universe Podcast.
StudioStargazer.org.
Hello and welcome to Emma's podcast. I hope you're doing well. I'm having a revolution, by the way, in case you do not know. Yes, and this is our Wednesday podcast, so maybe I should call it the MacArthur Revolution. Yes, we are recording right now, and Mr. Babush is 45 minutes early for his din din. Yes, so he is hungry. He wants to eat earlier, and this is not gonna be happening because I want to be able to record my 3 podcasts. Yes, I'm doing it on a Friday, and I'm recording it for the week. So yeah, he's gorgeous. That boy is gorgeous. So yeah, you gotta love it. You gotta love pets. Seriously, I love my pets. I saw something on TikTok because I don't understand what, but I think they're doing it to gain perspective, or it's not perspective, but to gain activities on their social media. When the guys, especially the guys, I there's a guy. he, it kind of it makes me laugh, but at some level, kind of feel a little. That guy has always talk about he takes, I think he do a snap. No, it's not a snap. It's what is mine right here. Oh, a CapCut. CapCut is a tool you can utilize to do side by side videos, and is always making some weird voice like we speak woman that way about white woman, which I'm like, really? And dogs. So allegedly, all of the white women are going and put ourselves in danger because we always go and rescue dogs or whatever is out there, and we approach the animals. And I'm laughing, it's like ridiculous. But there was a guy, then I just and I responded actually, and I've seen it in the past, but it's asking on TikTok the woman's if you have a dog and you have a significant other, a boyfriend, not a husband, a boyfriend, and that person doesn't like your dog or is allergic to the dog, or your dog doesn't like him, what would you do? So I think when I scrolled down, most of the answers were like mine. Well, off you go, buddy, because my dogs actually, and I responded to him, I said, animals are our responsibility. We have a commitment to them from the beginning till the end. That's mean from the day they are born, we should have that commitment until their last breath, which in most cases is not true because there is a lot of animal shelter, high kill shelters, actually, who have more of those animals, or people dumping animals on the side of the street, abandoning them in a cul-de-sac nobody is aware of, or put them in cages and they have no way to fend themselves, but will die from starvation left somewhere behind. So he wanted to know what would we do. I'm like, this is a no-brainer, honey, because if my animals doesn't like you, you need to understand animals read energies. So they don't see you first, they see the energies. They know who you are. They don't need you to fake it until you make it because they see it right away, okay? The other thing too, animals, they don't, we want them, and you see the lot of problem during the holidays, especially Christmas time, where I want a puppy, I want a kitty, I want this and that, and then 6 months later you're gonna dump them because you want to go on vacation or something like that. Or when you think they are cute, but they're gonna go through their puppy phase, which is like the toddler phase, and they're gonna have the zoomies, they're gonna run everywhere. Some will go chew on your and Lulu did actually. He did it on a couple of things. He needed to do his teeth, and he decided to choose the sofa's leg, which is okay because it was a lower sofa, so that was just fine. I saw it, I'm like, I can repent it, who cares, not a big deal. But when they're teething, if they need surgery, it's an expense. People don't realize that. It's like, oh, you got it for free, but it's going to cost you $100 a month to feed them, to go to the vet, to take care of them. This is like a little human beings, except they never leave. Okay, they're not gonna grow up. They're not gonna be graduate from school and go get a job unless your dog is on TikTok and you got millions of people following the dog or the cat. So it was quite interesting, a bit irritating at some point, because you know that they're doing this to get more views and interaction. This is just to get more followers. That's why they put those questions. But you have to ask yourself, what do you get in your life that requires commitment? Okay, relationship requires commitment. So that's another one too. And a lot of people don't understand that. Relationship, like everything else, like your children, like your flowers, like your car, it needs maintenance. Okay? Some people are like, well, I got you and that's it. No, you need the romance, you need the one-on-one, you need the connection, you need to continue to grow and evolve. A lot of couples grow apart because it becoming too much. Their life's taking over, and they don't prioritize one themselves first, to the couple, through the children. Generally, that goes children, and everybody is lost if we're lucky enough. But I found it quite interesting. So what in a part of your life is the challenge? Where do you feel you got most challenged? Now, for me, I would say is probably, I got 3 crazy pups, okay? And I'm dealing with them I love my kids. They're now in their adult phase. Two of them. The other one's turning 3. So hopefully he will get his adult phase, not his teenage years. I can see it on Daddy actually. Mike is the yellow mellow. I am mischievous. I will go off when I feel like going off, and I do whatever I feel like. He disappeared. We played tennis this afternoon, this morning, not this afternoon, but earlier this morning. I went and instead of doing the second walk, I decided to get Lulu's energy off, meaning I need to make him tired. That little thing, my little pesky boy, has a tendency to go on and on. It's like the energizer bunny. Seriously, he get going. It's funny actually because he's getting all shaky, all excited. He's like, I want the ball, I want the ball. His tongue is like close to the ground, but he's gonna continue to run. Daddy used to be like that, but Daddy's gonna be 6, she's 5. So her speed, she still have good speed, but not as much that Lulu has. She has lost a little bit of her speed. She used to be faster. Now it feels like she's in adulthood. So her energy is good because I can get her running, playing tennis. If I can catch the ball off her mouth, we're lucky because it depends on the day, depends on what she does. But it's quite interesting. So when I'm looking at the overall of the pups, the baby, the little one, is still the one running. Mike disappeared. So it's a wide open and the woods are right there. And it's quite funny because in that space, Daddy knows. I'm always asking her, calling her, making sure she's still around. And I want her to run a little bit slower. Depends if I take the ball off her mouth. Because she's like the one who's like chewing gums. I do, when I play tennis, I make sure she got one so she can chew in there. And she get it going with her energy in there, which is very funny. So she will go and chase a little bit the other ball, but she get more involved when it's her ball than I'm gonna throw. And Mike is like my Houdini. So Mike doesn't, I always have 3 tennis ball. Those are the baby one I'm using right now. I need to get back the regular one, which will help her. But he disappeared. There is a big pile of brushes. He goes behind it and disappeared. He do whatever he want for about 15, 20 minutes like he did this morning. He disappeared in there. I'm like, okay, no problem. I know he's not going to go off and do something else. I know my boy. But it's very funny because I caught him, the other two, running back and forth for about half an hour at least. And I'm calling because it's like, okay, it's time to eat your food. Go get the food. We're going to go get the food. And Mike, nonchalant, decided to show up from the woods. And I'm like, kid, he's my Houdini. Nonstop. So it's quite interesting when you're looking at all of their temperament. And again, the gentleman this morning talking about this. And I'm like, well, first of all, animals, we are responsible for Earth. It doesn't matter if you live in the middle of the jungle, cities, and the concrete jungle, or you're in a rural area, or you're by the beach. Mother Earth, we're supposed to take care of it. So are animals. We allegedly are the smartest species. Allegedly, I'm going to say, because there is days I'm doubting it. But we're supposed to be the one to protect the earth, taking care of the animals. And I'm not saying we need to go vegan and stop to eat meat. That's not what I'm saying. But animals need to be taken care of as well. So I take care of my animals. Now, when we go back to the question that was asked at the beginning of this podcast, I'm sorry. And I always said that. And I said it for so many years. My animals were there before you, and they will be there after you go. I have seen people afraid of not having somebody in their life and dumping animals because their mate asked for it, and they were afraid that they would not find somebody else's. which to me it's quite sad at some level, but this is not my monkey, this is not my circus. But I explain, for me, when to me it's been the commitment and a true commitment for my animals, and I think that was one of the biggest tests ever, I would say, when the fire happened in 23, and I have a couple of people who would say, yes, we can, it's you, but not your dogs. And I smiled and I said, that's okay, because I'm not going to go with you, because that's my dogs. I made the choice that those are my responsibilities. I am not going to dump animals who are victim of a fire and dump them just because you say so. I rather sleep in my car than anything else, which I'm blessed and I did not. Well, did I sleep in my car with my dogs? No, I did not. But it's important that we place our commitment, because again, when you're looking at Christmas time, everybody want a cute puppy. He's so cute. We want one. Oh, I see the TV. Say, well, but the puppy is going to grow up, and the puppy is going to become an adult, and it's going to be less cute. And it's not only the puppy, but the kitties and stuff like that. It's going to grow up. So we have to take account for that as well. And I've said it enough. When I got Mac, I was looking for one dog, and Daddy was already bonded with him. So I knew I could not split them. It wasn't possible. It would have been, she would have been, no, it would have never worked out for her to be on her own. It would have been way too much for people to understand how she functions. And that was one thing. But I had a conversation with the universe and say, holy crap, I just wanted one, you gave me two. So you better to step up to the plate and make sure that those kids are taken care of as well. But it's a commitment. Yes, it is a burden for some people. I assume it is. But you have to be responsible and accountable. So when questions like that are being posed, it's a little bit annoying, but I understand why the guy did it, because he wanted more answer and more interaction, and he wanted to create something, so those kind of questions that you see 25 times. But the answer is still the same. You're committed to an animal, you're committed to an animal. It's like committed to your children, committed to your mate, committed to, allegedly, because some are not, but the majority are committed to their mate. So making a commitment, going through it, is what is requested, because if you don't make a commitment, well, you're starting to set a precedent. And how many times, if you're not, if you're willing to do the commitment and go through it, that is to me a test as well. It would have been easy for me to dump them around the block and say, well, I don't want them because I cannot have this and that. Yes, I would have probably changed the course of the circumstances where I'm at. However, it would have not helped, isn't it? Because they were committed, and I had to go with them, not with somebody telling me to dump them or to put them somewhere in the kennel. I'm like, I'm not. They're staying with me. And I would not see neither Daddy or Lulu being, me going somewhere and them. No, that would have been pushing the limit. Those two are like glued to my hip, literally. So that would not work. Not because I want them glued to my hip, but that's how they run. It's like if they don't see me, that becomes a problem. If I'm somewhere and they're in another room, they will check and make sure and they're with me and they can see me. That's how it functions. If I'm out for an hour or 2 hours, I even give them time. I will be back in 2 hours. They are like joy and like, oh my God, she's back. And we're not seeing her for 2 hours. It feels like for a lifetime. And I'm like, no, I've been out for 2 hours. But this is how it works with them. So what commitments do you have in your life? And how many have you broken? How many commitments have you broken? And look back at the circumstances. And what was the end result afterwards? Did it work for you, or did it went nowhere? Because in some cases, that breaking a commitment for something else and that doesn't work, then you need to step back and look at, okay, what was the circumstances that made change? Was it based on fear? Was it based on what? What was the intent at the end of the day? And the energy as well. So think about it. But yeah, I did find it quite annoying on this one. I got annoyed, I must say, but not because the question has been asked too many times, and the gentleman actually was more looking for getting more people to interact with it. I did say what I gotta say actually, but make it very clear, understand that when you're committed and you see through it, that to me it really showed the testament and who we are. It shows our characters as well, because if somebody is not committed, let's say, to go through some of their commitment, that could be like, let's say they want to go to school or go back to school, and they're going halfway, and after that they're gonna quit. Or the example I gave a few weeks ago in regards of the New Year's Eve, and people, we're all gonna get our membership to the fitness club, and a month and a half later, those people are not committed. They have intentions, they have some intent, but the intent never turned to the commitment to go on a regular basis to the fitness club. But they all wanted, because of the idea that, we're starting a new year, we're gonna give ourselves so high expectation, that's what we should do, that it's so overwhelming at the end of the day. No, it's called discipline. A commitment is a discipline as well, being disciplined on who we are. So start smaller. As I said, animals are commitments, any kind of them, because again, you need to feed them, making sure that, they are safe, and for their well-being as well. So if you cannot do that, maybe buy a plant. Like I said, you start with a plant. It's always how you start. We start with a plant, you start with a pet, and it's like, okay, now I'm open to have a mate in my life. But think about it. Think about the commitment you have done in your life, you have gone through, and the one that stick and the one that fell through. And what was the reason behind? Go back in there and observe those patterns. Maybe there's a patterns in there that maybe by looking back at some of the circumstances will make you understand, oh boy, this happened. Okay. And those are the circumstances. So that was our podcast for today. Yes, it is. We're talking about commitment. We're talking about all of that mambo jumbo for a minute. But just think about it. Which commitment have you gone through it, and which you fell short? And look at honestly, what was the intent? Was it the right way to do it? Maybe you stop a commitment and went a different route. I made commitment on a lot of things. Then a year later, seeing there were no improvement, nothing, no breakthrough, whatever was the deal, I stopped. I stopped on a bunch of stuff, clear up my space, and said, this is not what is working for me. Learning also to stop and said, okay, I'm not going to pursue any longer if I'm going around a circle over and over and over and over again. So that's something as well people need to look at, because sometimes we think that persisting on things that doesn't work is cutting ourselves short. So it's not about the business, it's about commitment. Let's say, what example can I take? Let's say you're trying a new membership on something, and or you have a membership on something, and you're doing it. You go through the process, and you're doing it for a year, and you realize you're wasting more money that you have a return on ROI, which is return on investment. Meaning, what is the value, added value that I benefit from? Okay. It's not what I'm going to get out of it, it's what the added value. Because some people, I don't like the one that is what I'm getting out of it, because people use it for other people. Like, I'm going to use you, and what I'm going to get out of you by using you like an old sock, and throw you out like an old sock when I'm done to maybe get money out of you, or anything that actually is not a two-way street, if you know what I mean. I hope you do. So look at what you have gone for a while, and maybe you need to stop to do it. As I said, I had a membership and I did. That was on fitness, because fitness, I'm doing it. So I don't, I don't need to go to the fitness club. I told that many years ago, 2 decades ago, I stopped. I did yoga. Started yoga in 2000. Yeah, I did it for over 20 years. And I wasn't going to a fitness club for that. But I stopped the fitness club because it was a waste of money. When you spend over $700, and I was going there, but I was going to run and do things that, okay, at the end of the day, I could do it by myself somewhere else, which I did. But and yoga is something that people don't understand. You can go to class, but going to class is great, not an issue with that, but the growth you're going to do is by doing your own practice as well. So practicing more at home, and that's what I did. But look at the commitment you have done. Look at some of the membership. Look at some maybe a relationship with somebody that doesn't work anymore, and you stick around for some unknown reason. Look at the commitment. And I know when we talk about relationship, a lot of people are going to say, well, but I'm married, blah, blah, blah. Well, sometimes being in a miserable relationship just because we're afraid to be alone or we start over and blah, 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 is not doing a good service to yourself and the other person. It's better to set ourselves free and the person to find somebody else that is right for them, and for you to have the right person in your life to do something different that will elevate yourself. And a lot of people don't do that because they're afraid of. So what are you afraid of? What should you be cutting ties to? Think about that. That was our Wednesday recording. I have no idea what's going to happen for Friday. I started the week with energy, slap in the face with energies, and now we're doing this. Oh boy, I'm afraid what's going on next. So we'll take it to you later, guys. All my love. Bye now.
Where do we go from here?
Emily's Universe Podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Emily's Universe Podcast. Universe